Hello,
Hello.
it's the count. Three. Ah, ah, ah. Hey, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever issues are on your mind. Um, yeah. Um, how are you guys doing today? It's been a it's been 7 days since we last got to visit on this Don't Worry Wednesday.
hmm
Is it 7 days or is it eight?
7.
Aren't there
Depends.
7 days in a week?
Yes. So I
So
guess
it's
it
technically
depends.
been eight
Do
days.
you count the day we were on last?
Right, that's
If
the
you count
question.
if you count that day, then it's 8. If you
Yeah,
don't count that day, then it's 7.
right. So if
So
we count that day, it's been 8 days. If we
yeah, it's
don't,
been 8
seven.
days.
Wow,
8 days, man.
there we go. Sunday happens every 8 days. Is that correct? Or is that every 7 days?
Sunday is
Every 7 days, but it's 8 days if you count Sunday. Yeah, that's weird.
if you count itself,
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
time the prior one, then it's 8.
yeah. So if you're like on a Sunday and you're like, hey, in 8 days, like, because in the morning it would be 8 days. But at the night, it would be 7 because you no longer wouldn't need to count that day because you don't have a whole day left, you know?
Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Good call.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, since we're in the evening, then I would say 7. Okay.
I
It's been
just
7 days
I
since we
gotta
last met.
I gotta just learn to agree with Ryan. Ryan's generally right about most things.
I'm probably wrong. It's not a good idea to agree with me. I just go on tangents about things that are incorrect.
Yeah,
Um,
but no, you don't.
so, anyways,
You're pretty good.
um, yeah. Anyways, welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday, the show where we talk about whatever's on your mind. The show where we talk about the issues of life.
Mm-hmm.
We all go through things. Sometimes those things are like death or life, and it's uncomfortable. So, maybe you got some issues with your family. Maybe you got some pet that recently passed, or maybe you're just trying to figure out how to better schedule yourself. There's all sorts of different things that go on in life that we could get help on. We're here to give encouragement. A lot of times you guys already know how to solve your problems. You just need to let it out or to have another perspective. Sometimes just listening to someone else talk about something that you already know can make your mind start to rotate and move forward and figure out what the next step is. I know that happens to me a lot when I listen to all sorts of different kinds of talks and things like that. My mind will start going down a whole nother road that person's not even talking about, but it will start to find out things about myself or how to go forward with my life. And I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here to help you do that. Um, but yeah, so with me is Princess, who is our chat room hostess and reader for the topics, and also the star of the show, Joe,
No,
and
the
of course you
start of
guys.
the show is the chat,
Yeah,
the
the
people
people.
that joined us.
The
They're
people are one
That's the
star.
star.
They're a bunch of gas molecules all collected. Actually, plasma molecules
Yes.
collected together, so shining so bright. You guys are our light.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that rhymed.
It's
In
beautiful.
flight.
Is a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing
Yep. In hindsight,
in foresight
one might.
and wow. Did you do the disclaimer?
Yeah. No, I didn't.
Oh, we gotta have
We
a
don't need one.
disclaimer.
We are not professional psychologists or psychiatrists.
You're
So if you
like,
take our advice and it doesn't work well for you, don't sue us.
right.
Perfect.
Good job.
Thanks.
That's the
I did
that's
it.
that's the gist of it.
Yeah. We aren't doctors. We aren't physicists. We are not. Uh, what do you call the people that help you like with your training exercises and stuff like that?
uh, Trainers,
Okay, sure. We're
instructors,
not trainers. That's not the word I was looking for, but
professors,
professors. Yeah, we're not that either. We're not teachers.
drill sergeants.
Okay, we're not a lot of things, guys. Um,
It's
So
true. We're not-
what we are is human, and humans tend to share struggles. Um, everyone's struggle is different because they lived a different life up to that point, but we have similar emotions, similar reasonings, and our physics in the world are the same. So there's wisdom. Wisdom applies to all.
Mhm.
So we can be here to help share some of that.
Yeah.
Coaches, yeah, coaches. They think that there you go. That
Coaches.
pretty
Is
close
that
to what I was
probably,
looking for.
yeah, there you go. That sounds better.
Physical trainers, physical coach. I don't know.
Physical therapists.
Physical therapist,
Mm-hmm.
barbers, nutritionists.
Yeah, none of that.
None of it.
None of it.
Nope.
We are musicians.
That's accurate.
That's
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into the show.
So I don't know. I don't know how important that is for
Eh,
helping out. But
Yep.
we're friendly.
Oh, there you go. Unless you don't like friendliness, and then we're not friendly
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's on you.
Because we want
That's
to
on you.
be all things to all people, right? So if you don't want friendly, we'll be mean.
Yeah.
Right, Ryan?
Yeah, I guess if you want. I guess I've been asked about Nori being the ring bearer from Clues to a Poor Man's Briefcase.
Mm.
There, I can't say yes or no to that. All I can say is that's a cool idea. There's a possibility, but it's not decided yet on who's the ring bearer. So
Mhm.
you'll just have to maybe continue watching Criminal Idol season 2 and find out if there even is a person associated with the with that ring.
Mhm.
It could have just been a random stranger who left that there. Or alternatively, you could get the book and also not find out anything new, but you get the story behind it a little bit. Yeah.
You would neither get confirmation nor denial of
You wouldn't get
Nori's
confirmation or
ring
denial on
bearer
it,
status.
but you would get confirmation on a lot of different things, and it
Mhm.
would help you make your conclusion more
Yes.
more sound.
Hmm. The book was
But yeah, I
quite
would.
useful as we debated over the script
Yeah.
over these past few weeks. It's been pretty interesting because we had to make sure everything was going to be consistent,
Oh yeah, for sure.
you know. So it's like, oh, like actually who's in the box? Without looking, do you guys know who's in the box in episode 2?
I know. That's because we went over it.
Mm-hmm.
I drew it, and I
You
didn't
drew
know,
it.
but
You
now
drew-
I know. Yep. That's how my memory works.
Yes.
Yeah, don't trust this guy. Um, yeah. If anyone can answer that without looking at it, I'd be very impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we won't even know.
Harika and Keiko, that's pretty good. You got it.
Vanna, yes, you
Vanna V,
win.
nice
You
job.
win the prize. Of,
I know my memory.
Good job.
Nice.
You get a thumbs up
Whoa, 2 of them,
for free.
3 of them, 3 thumbs up.
4.
No,
Princess
I took mine down.
has thumbs up.
Oh.
Yeah.
3 thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right.
How you been, Ryan?
It was fantastic.
5.
Oh, 5.
Hey, Princess.
How you doing, man?
I'm great, man.
Awesome.
I've had an incredible week. Did I show you my new amp?
Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yeah, you can show the audience if you
I'm
want.
really proud of this thing. It's super
Yeah.
powerful.
There it is. It's an amp that fits into the palm of his hand, but it's very, very strong.
It is.
Very
It's
powerful.
it's an incredible. You can even see my ring light in the reflection.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool.
That's cool. Yeah, this little tiny thing. I've been playing with it, and now So now I have the guitar player's shoulder issue because I've been playing my guitar so much now.
Oh, so now your
Because
shoulders
it's so
starting to hurt.
fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. Is it a headphone amp? It is actually just you can use it with headphones. You can plug it directly into your interface for recording. You can put it on top of a speaker cabinet and use it as an amp for stage performance. All those different options, and it will power all of it. So Yeah, it's cool. And it sounds amazing.
Nice. Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, fantastic.
Hey, Vana got a ring light too. Hey, yeah. Ring
What's
lights are
that?
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Vana
ring lights are
Vana V
cool.
got a ring light. They're
Oh,
pretty useful, but depending on your camera, for some webcams they're a little bit bright. So
mm.
you gotta get one that's dimmable, or you gotta be able to put it away from you a bit. But yeah,
Or
for
put a what do you call that?
a thing.
Yes, that's the exact word.
A
That's the
thing.
word that describes this object. You got to put a thing in front of it. A screen? It's not a screen. It's a it has a specific name, but softener, dampener, light thing. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking
filter,
about.
filter.
It's a filter. There you go. A light
Hmm.
filter. You could put a filter in front of it,
Yeah,
and that'll help
you could do that.
help the light
Sometimes
not
they
be
come
so
with them.
brash. Yeah.
Yep, I can change the color on mine.
Whoa, that's weird.
Whee!
Is it just two colors?
No, it's like a bunch of different shades of those colors. See, so now I'm a little bit more orange.
Oh,
And I
okay.
can go to like a cooler white,
Yeah,
and then like a
a
more
very
white.
white.
Hmm.
What? Yeah.
Yep, but it doesn't have like a little knob to turn to go gradually between them. It just
Okay.
toggles between a whole bunch of different options, and it feels kind of random. So it's like so you
Yeah,
just go until you find the one you like, and you're like,
that's
okay,
weird.
yeah, yep. But it's cool.
Nice. Cool. All right.
Anyway, let's do a show.
Well, let's get into it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go through a list of names. If you're here, let us know, and yeah, we'll do your topic. By the way, if you want to post a topic, feel free to just write it down in the chat. You can also send it to us in email at bss. That's sorry, dww at bss.studio, or put it in our Discord. Send us a Discord message. Put it on our forums. That's bss.studio,
Mm-hmm.
and there you go. So you got plenty of options. I would recommend maybe just putting in the chat. That's the easiest, or putting it right on the website. That's even more easy, since we get all of our topics from there.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you want to remain anonymous, I think the best way to do it is send us an email, which is dww@bss.studio.
Mm-hmm.
So here, I'm gonna go through the list again. If you are here, just write a comment. You could write anything like "My dog ate pie" or "Today is a Wednesday." Anything is good. Sevlev, SK, Pika, Jesse, Khan Vulcan, Random, Ian Lam, Helmrock Hero, Pear, Lil McKee, Kishin Slayer, Baka, and Lay. And there we go. That's what we got.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I haven't seen any of those people here.
I'm with
I think
you.
Lay might be around. But I actually ended up talking to him in Discord like a few minutes ago. Lays is not ready yet though, apparently. Still a work in progress writing it. So cool. Well, does anybody else have anything we want to talk about? Anything you want us to talk about?
Otherwise, we're gonna pick a topic.
Yeah, we're gonna pick a topic and it's not gonna be that great.
It won't be as good as if you pick it.
That's
we
right.
can pick
That's
it.
right.
I'll talk about more guitar stuff. That's what I'm excited about. I'm almost done. That behind me is Franklin. That's the first time I've ever named.
You named a guitar?
Instrument. Yes, I've never
Nice,
named any of my instruments before.
Yeah, some people name their everything. Some people name their instruments. I've never done it either.
Yep, this is the first time.
The clarinet.
Who?
Clary?
Yeah, Clary is my clarinet.
Clary. Hey, cool. So you are.
Nice.
So do you name everything? Did you like name your car too?
Yep, Toru Honda.
Hey, that's awesome.
Because
Nice.
the car is a Honda, so I named it Toru because Honda is actually the last name of a character, with their first name being Toru from Fruits Baskets, and I was just like, perfect.
Nice. My brother named his Land Cruiser Yoda.
Nice.
Because he
Nice.
was like, because when I was young I had a Toyota, and now I have a Toyota.
Nice. You
Uh,
Vanna wants us to Vanna wants us to talk about makeup. Vanna, I have to be honest in this one. I have very little experience in the realm of makeup.
Joe, you got
Um,
any experience there?
I sure do. I've got a lot of experience with makeup, actually.
all right, go for it.
Good. Whew. Someone's got this.
Yeah. So anyway, I was in a number of dance performances when I was in college, and so I got to learn all the ins and outs of stage makeup and doing all that kind of
Ah,
stuff. And my wife now, she wasn't my wife at the time, but she had done a lot of training for me to make sure I blended everything well. I mean, makeup for going out and living your life is a bit different than makeup
it's
for
very different
stage.
from stage makeup. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting, because I remember. I hope this isn't offensive to anybody, but I do remember. So by this time, by the time this story took place, I was engaged to my wife, who's my wife now. We were engaged. Everybody knew it, right? And it was a thing. And we were doing this show together because I was in the percussion department. She was a dancer, and so we were in the same shows a lot. In this particular one, I'm sitting in the guy's dressing room, and I'm putting on my makeup, and then there's another guy, a dancer guy, who's sitting next to me, and he's putting on his makeup, and he looks at me in the mirror, and he's like, "Joe, where do I find nice men like you?" And I was like, um,
um,
well, have you met my fiance?
what?
Like, so anyway, but it was a really weird thing, and like, especially back then, it was a little less common, right?
Mhm.
But yeah. So I mean, now you go around and people of all different walks of life are wearing different levels of makeup. Steve, the guitarist for A Single Duel, uses a little bit of minimalist makeup to kind of fill in his eyebrows and his facial hair because he has alopecia, which causes all of his hair to fall out. So all of the hair that he has is not, it's
It's
kind
like
of light.
what do you call it, like fuzz,
Yeah,
peach fuzz or whatever?
right. And so there's this special stuff that he uses to kind of brush in there to just make it a little bit more full, but it's not makeup-y looking. It just kind of it kind of attaches to his hair and kind of gives his hair a little bit more body, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, it's interesting. So a lot of different makeups have lots of different applications.
Yeah, I remember looking at my friends at like during their performance or whatever, because I used to do plays and stuff
Mm-hmm.
at high school, and their stage makeup was always really interesting because it was trying to define features that get washed out when the
Mm,
light is above you. You know,
mm,
when the light is above you and it hits you in a certain angle, it causes your brow and everything to kind of disappear
mm-hmm.
because the light is hitting you at a weird angle. And so that they would color in like black here and stuff like that to more magnify the eyes and the brow and thing like that. And I thought that was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. It is. It was really simplistic when I was doing the dance shows. They just were like, okay, for guys, you just put on your basic foundation to kind of keep the shine away and to give you a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
color, so you're not like a ghost out
Yeah, I
there.
watched. Yeah.
And then just a little bit of eyeliner, but not too much, but just to make your eyes kind of pop out a little bit, right?
Mm.
And then a little bit of extra cheek stuff, right? It wasn't, but I don't think it was red. It was just kind of I don't know.
A peach.
Yeah, I don't know. But it wasn't like, I mean, the girls had all kinds of craziness, man. I mean, they had.
Well, again, just like you were, like I was saying, when the light hits you so intensely from that angle, it it removes the 3D-ness of your character, and so you're trying to bring that back out. So you add things to your cheeks to pronounce your cheekbones, to pronounce the dimensions of your face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, very
Yep.
interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, the things
Yeah.
the things you learn from intense lighting, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because you go out there on stage and there's a lot of lights on you,
Uh-huh.
and especially if there's a spotlight as well on you, and then you're out there and it's just like, whoa.
I like it when it makes that sound when you turn all the lights on. You know, it's like, oh, that sounds so cool. You know?
Yes. Yes. Yep.
I like that sound. I don't know why. I just think it's so cool. But yeah, it looks like we got Baka with us.
We do.
They've got a topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a quick question from
Oh yeah,
Star.
I'm from Star. That's right. I did see
Oh.
that. So Star asked, I've been wondering for quite a while now, do you happen to have sheet music for any of the Criminal Idol songs?
Ooh.
And the answer is no. I didn't write it on sheet, and I could convert it, but because there's so many different instruments, and not all of it is MIDI, it would be a lot of work to try to convert into sheet music everything. If I was to try to convert it into like a piano roll, I'd have to completely recreate the song, especially since if I play the piano by hand, right, what you end up with is, how do you say this? In when you are, it's a musical term called quantizing. When you quantize, it takes the note and it fixes it to a certain position. So like, let's say you play on the first beat, but you're a millisecond off, right? It will shift that backwards a millisecond so that it's perfectly on that note. But I don't necessarily always quantize my stuff. So if I export it as a sheet music, it will show like 1/256th notes. And they'll be all over the place, and the sheet music will look insane. It'll be like, how am I supposed to play with 256 notes like in this spot? Is anyways, it's really confusing. So I haven't made any sheet music. I'd have to kind of just, it would take a while, and so I haven't. So I'm sorry, Star. I mostly play everything by ear, listening to it over and over and trying to play it note by note. That's how I learned how to play other people's songs. But yeah.
I don't know. That's an interesting question, though, and one that I think bears some consideration in the future. You know,
sure, yeah,
because there are people who like to play the songs that we have, and I know
that's true.
You know what you could do it for?
A
Kickstarter reward.
We could.
Yeah.
We totally
could.
That's
true, like a goal, if they reach a certain amount, then you would make sheet music or have somebody do it.
Have somebody do an arrangement. Like, you know what? Here's an interesting thing. Because of the way all this stuff is licensed, somebody could cover those songs and make sheet music of them. And sell them. And make money from them.
Yeah, that's true.
And we also would get a little portion of money from that. But also, that's an opportunity for lots of people out there as well. I'm learning about some of this stuff. I'm about, doing cover songs and, how all that licensing works. And a lot of it's automatic now. So it's kind of cool. You don't have to actually contact people to get permission to do a song. You can just do it. And then, the percentages will go to the proper places as things stream and release and everything. So it's kind of cool. But anyway.
Yeah. Actually, Vanavi's asked, won't the actors for season 2 need sheet music? And the answer to that is actually no. A lot of the voice actors that are going to be singing don't do much with sheet music. Instead, they do it by ear. So I'm going to be singing the part for them, and then they're going to then re-sing that part. And then their voice will be put in instead of mine. Also, another thing you can do is with piano, like a lot of times just like do, 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 do. And then they go, okay, and here are the lyrics. All right. I am a big fat cow. Okay. And so, and then they just sing the lyrics along to the piano, right?
Those are the
But
lyrics you
I
came
think
up
what I'm
with.
going to do is I'm going to,
Criminal
yeah,
Idol
you're
season
welcome.
2, man.
That's the lyric for
the
every,
one.
it's the lyric for every song in Criminal Idol too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Although just a vocal part, that wouldn't be that hard to put together some sheet music for just the vocal parts. It's all the other
Yeah,
stuff.
and that would not be hard at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would not be hard at all.
Yep.
And I was thinking that I might, and I'd asked them actually, and they had said that what's easiest for them is just to listen to how the lyrics are going to be spoken, actually in it. So, because I'd asked them if they wanted sheet music, and pretty much all of them just said no, it's better the other way. So,
Cool. Well,
Well,
that
most
Which
makes
makes
people
sense.
learn it in choir, at least from my experiences. Every place I've gone, you know,
Hmm.
they either play a piano to get the notes so you know the correct pitches,
Mhm.
but then they will like help with singing it. I mean, obviously they also teach you sheet music in most choirs I've been to, but most of the time in practice, there's plenty of piano lead and other people pronouncing it so that you know the nuances and you know the notes.
Yeah, I always had the instructor that
Nice.
would be like when you'd screw up, they'd look at you and they'd stop playing the piano and then they'd play the note you're supposed to be singing on the piano like over and over again. Dong 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 dong.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, it's dun,
The hard thing is when they play two notes at once, and you have to do that with your voice.
Yes. You're like, hold on, let me get some phlegm so I can go. Nice. Oh, that's fun.
New chips. Hey, what's up, man? So yeah, Venavi, yes, we actually do have the cast picked out. I haven't been able to make a post about it because I'm waiting on arts and things like that to make the post look better. And it took us a while to get everybody together and get everybody's stuff figured out so that I can make a post about it and link their Twitter accounts and things like that. But yeah, I planned to make that post like a month ago, but things just drag out. So my apologies. Anyways, let's move on to I guess Bacchus is ready, right?
Yes, I believe Baka is here as well now.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Blade Looper.
Yes. Okay.
And we have a question from New
Yeah,
Chips
hey.
in here too. So I'd like to.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go for it.
Well, we don't. I'd just like to make sure we put it on the list or whatever. Because
Oh, got it.
New Chip says, "Have you ever went to college for your music? If so, I plan on making better music in the future, but I don't know where to start." And that could be a topic where we could go.
That's a
for
fantastic
while.
topic.
So, but yeah, I
there
just want to
for
make
those
sure we
Yes.
caught that and put it on the list.
Yep, we'll do.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you. It's a great question. Yeah, all right. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Ezekiel game. Okay, I actually remember that. Yeah, totally. Okay. Awesome.
Nice. All right. Well, are we going to
Cool.
start with
Well-
Bacchus topic?
Let us do that. So, I'm gonna break the norm here.
You're
I'm
going.
gonna put down that link. If you want to read along with the topic, feel free to click that link, and you'll be taken to his topic. I know that Princess was typing something,
Wait,
so I
you
figured I'd do
posted
that
the link?
for her. Oh, there she is.
Wow, Ryan posted.
Mine
the
Yeah.
goes
link.
to first online, but there goes my internet, you know.
Ah.
Okay.
Darn
Click
internet.
Ryan's link. It's beautiful. And we shall do the topic.
Yes,
we
it is
shall.
beautiful. My link is beautiful.
We shall
However,
do
Princess
the
is better.
topic.
So, anyways, this is from Baka. It's titled "Spinning Out of Control," and it reads as follows.
Lately, my emotions are becoming more visible. I don't think this is a bad thing, but when my emotions do show, they spiral out of control. and I'm having problems controlling them, and I'm panicking trying to suppress them. How do I control my emotions? From Baka.
Hmm.
Great question.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yeah, I think we've talked a little bit about this before with you, but not specifically this, and I think that's fine. I think this is a great question, really, because even asking it gets you moving forward in it. It tells us that you're open to the idea that emotions can be controlled, and I think that's super super important. That's major. I know that like there are people in their 50s, 60s, 70s who don't know that emotions are something that can be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
They live their lives entirely by how they feel, and it causes for all sorts of chaos that's unnecessary, and all sorts of turmoil that's unnecessary. And I had not even considered the fact or considered the idea that emotions could necessarily be controlled until I think I was I don't know, like 16 or 17. um, yeah, I think it was 17, and I had joined a group of you know a businessmen, if you will, and they were talking about it on stage, that issue, and I was like, wow, I never even heard of this. I didn't even know that you could control your emotions. Like I just thought we all, you know, they were what they were, so I think it's really fantastic that you're bringing this up. Fantastic that you're trying to conquer this, because it's really helpful in life, by a ton. So with that, I just want to say I'm proud of you, Baka. That's awesome. And I'm going to give it over to Joe and see what he's got to say about the subject.
Yeah, this is like Ryan was saying. The first step to addressing this is to notice that it's going on, and you just by noticing it, you're ahead of a lot of people, and that is awesome. So I also have to commend you on that. One of the things, though, you're absolutely right. When you're having trouble in this area and you start to lose control of your emotions, it's easy to panic. Just because you're noticing this happen and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I deal with this? How do I, and everything starts to kind of heighten, and you start to, it kind of makes the problem a little bit worse too. Like it makes your emotions go even further. So then how do you combat that is a wonderful question, because you're absolutely right. It does spiral, because you start to feel like you're losing control of your emotions, and then you panic because you're losing your emotions, which makes you lose even more control, because panic by definition is losing control. And so then that feeds into more of a loss of control, which then causes a greater level of panic, which then, and so it just continues to spiral. And I don't know if you would say it's spiraling upward or downward, because, I always think of when I'm getting emotionally hijacked like that, I kind of think I'm getting worked up. So I'm kind of like raising, but it kind of is a downward spiral, because it's not a positive thing usually, right? So what do you do when this is happening? If you notice that it's happening, that's good. And here's something I can remember when there was a friend of mine who he was on some medication, and the medication affected him a certain way, and he knew this, right? But it also it could have caused a lack of control. It could have caused him to kind of lose control of his emotions, say things or do things that he didn't necessarily, that were not necessarily appropriate, I guess, and sometimes do some hurtful things. But one of the things that was very interesting, I remember him talking about it, and he was like, I found a way to kind of handle it. And he's like, I just remind myself, oh, this is just because I took this medication. I'm feeling this way just because this is happening. And so he was able to just remind himself, okay, this is happening. It's normal. It's okay. But just addressing it and recognizing the cause helped him to relax, because he was like, now I know why this is happening. I can relax. I don't have to I don't have to freak out wondering, oh my gosh, something's happening, and then getting caught up in the thing. So if you start to feel your emotions go crazy a little bit, and you start to feel yourself, be more emotional, one of the best things you can do is just remind yourself, oh, this is just me having one of these moments. I try to remind myself of that, like if I'm getting frustrated when I'm dealing with one of my kids or with my wife or with other people around me, I can start to feel my blood pressure go up a little bit. And I'm kind of like, and I just have to remind myself, this is just me having a bodily reaction to this. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it gets to the point where I kind of have to step away or just kind of be quiet for a minute and just work through some of the stuff in my head, take a couple deep breaths, and just kind of be like, okay, relax a little bit, just kind of figure this out. And sometimes that helps. So, but I think honestly, the best thing I've found to do is just that. Just remind yourself, oh, this is normal. Because it is. Everybody experiences this. Everybody experiences an emotion, a feeling that they start to feel out of control with. And it's normal because, things happen and we naturally react. So if you can just remind yourself, this is normal, it's okay. And then relax a little bit. Just now you know the cause. And then you can kind of smooth it out. So here's the other thing. It will take practice. It's not going to happen right away. This is something that you will learn to do better and better every time you try. It's like exercising. Your muscles get stronger over time with exercise. And this is the same thing. You will get better at it the more you do it. And so be gracious with yourself. And as you can look back and you can reflect on a recent experience, and you can be like, okay, what was good? What wasn't so good? And if you're like me, it's easy to use that line of questioning as a way to beat yourself up over it. And so you recognize that that's a possibility too, and be like, okay, this isn't a beat up session. This is a session of saying, okay, I'm just analyzing. I'm just looking at, this experience. And okay, it happened. I can't do anything about what happened, but I can change what happens in the future. And so as this is the way that you will improve over time. But I don't have a silver bullet, something that's going to happen immediately for you. I don't necessarily think that exists. Maybe Ryan knows of something, and that's good because I'm about to turn it over to him. So that's pretty much what I got. So Ryan,
That's a lot of pressure. Yeah, I mean, I can do my best. So yeah, just as Joe was saying, like it's noticing, it's a huge thing, and being able to kind of calm yourself, talk to yourself, and don't beat yourself up, right? One thing you said, I had a stressful last 2 weeks, and today I had a bottle of Gatorade spill out in my bag. And I feel that the build up stress has something to do with it. I would definitely say that that's true. When you have stress that just compounds on top of each other over and over, eventually your mind just kind of overflows and it spills out. It doesn't just it's kind of like a balloon popping. It just goes everywhere, and you're like, oh, I can't believe I just did that to all of my friends. I just spilled acid all over them, balloon acid water. Anyways, yeah. He said, but it happens. It feels like I isolate myself, and then then it just explodes, and I cry internally and externally for 5 to 10 minutes. Then it turns into long, extended anger and low tolerance. Yeah, I totally get it. So when you're going through this, keep in mind, like, um, first of all, you're human.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the only person that has struggled with this or will struggle with this, and you're not the only person that will have ever conquered this when you conquer it. Um, which is great news because it tells you that you can conquer it. It tells you that there's a way to get yourself in order with this, get yourself better at um, control and tolerance and all those types of things. Um, a lot of times, like when it comes to being annoyed with things, um, in myself, like if I'm annoyed with a subject, I usually help my mind turn that around a couple of ways. So things that so basically what I'm saying is there are ways to diminish the stress as it comes in so that when you are experiencing stress, it doesn't allow for another thing to come on top of it and then come on top of it, come on top of it. You kind of just go, okay, you take one stress at a time and then you resolve it. And then you take that next stress and you resolve it. Okay. So it's important to try to resolve those stresses as they come in. Sometimes they come in all at once and you don't have the time to do that. But try to take one thing at a time and dissolve it. So what I do is a couple of different mental exercises. I take a topic, whatever it is. So let's say, um, I don't know, it could be anything that happens in your life, but maybe someone says something to you like, your mustache is too big, and it hurts you, like, and you're like, I can't believe they said that. That was mean, and then and you feel pain, right? I know it's just a random example. I was trying not to offend anybody. I'm assuming no one here has too big of a mustache. Uh, but anyways, when you get that piece of stress or that insult or whatever it is, um, what you can do is you focus on that one. Don't focus on all of the stuff. Don't focus on, oh, this happened and this happened and then this happened. Don't do that. Just one thing at a time. And you think about that one thing and you go, okay, why does that hurt me? Why does that hurt me? Why am I offended? Why am I feeling this way about this? That's step one. Ask yourself why you're feeling that way. Because at first, you're going to give yourself an answer likely that isn't right, but you'll know it's not right. You're like, no, that can't be it. That's not like, that doesn't quite embody what I'm feeling. And then you'll maybe think about more stuff and you'll eventually get down to the root of the problem. That's what you want to do. You ask yourself why over and over. So it's like, why was I offended that they said I had a big mustache? Because I, they commented on my physical appearance, and that's mean. Yeah, but why does that hurt you? Because I I don't know, because I like myself. Like I want people to like me. I want people to like me. Maybe that's why. And if that sounds right, if that feels right inside, if that makes your heart go like a little bit resolved, feel a little bit resolved, or maybe even the other way, a little bit more like upset, then you've hit on something. You've hit on a nerve. But if that isn't it, you ask yourself, why again? You see, okay, why do I care about what people think about me? Like that's not exactly why I felt pain there. Maybe I can go why more in that direction. Why do I care what people think about me? Because that's how I feel about myself. If that's how I feel about myself, then maybe that's it, right? If other people, how they think about me is what I care about, or is how I feel about myself, maybe that's an issue I need to work with. But maybe that's the wrong direction. Maybe it's a whole nother thing. If I go to the end of a Y chain and I just am feeling blank, like, no, that's not it, then create a new chain. Start to think about different ways that it could be offending you. Maybe it's like, oh, but I really pride myself in my mustache and I took a lot of work to make this happen. And they just dissed it like it was nothing. They don't know nothing, it's probably not it, but it might help you. And what you want to do is try to take it one layer at a time until you get to the root of a problem. The root of the problem is usually something very basic and broad. Usually like selfishness, pride, Those are usually the two main ones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, pride is usually the main problem, but sometimes it's this desire for self that isn't necessarily pride. It's um, maybe it's envy. Maybe it's envy. Maybe it's um, um, I can't think of. Maybe it's lust. You know, maybe it's gluttony, right? Maybe it's, there's all sorts of different things, but when you get to the root of the problem, here's what happens. That stress is now manageable because you've taken that stress that you feel and you've described it. You've explained it to yourself. And now that you have done that, you feel like you own it, like you control it, because now it's no longer some abstract thing that hurts you. You've defined it, which means now you own it. You are the author of it, basically. You know that you're the one that created it inside of you on accident, not on purpose, just it happened, right? It's an experience. It's not your fault. It's just an experience. But you take this and you go, okay, I have figured out what it is. Now that I've figured out what it is, that's something I can work on in my life to get better at. So I'm not offended when people say this, or so I don't get stressed out when this happens, right? And that is how I help to combat possible stresses, right? Because if you know what points cause you stress and you can start to work on those virtues, you'll get stressed less and less and less. But if you get stressed about anything in life, break each stress down one at a time and talk to yourself about it until you figure out what it is that's really going on inside of you. And the more you define it, the more control you have over it. Because at some point, you're going to go, oh, I was just feeling that way because of this. Like Joe was saying about the medication. He was like, oh, I'm just acting this way because I'm on medication. Okay, well, I'll just got to stop then. I just got to pay more attention to I don't have to feel that way. And it's the same thing about emotional control. When you can go like, oh, I'm just feeling that way because of this. You can go, well, then I figured that out already. All right, well, then I won't feel that way anymore. I'll just move on to the next thing. I won't let that affect me. I don't need to, right? And that's my main way of personally having emotional control is just understanding why I'm feeling that way, right? So I hope that helps break it down for you. When you're caught up in that moment and you start to spiral out of control, it can be really hard to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So when you start to spiral out of control, what I would recommend is if you can, maybe find some time to yourself. If you can't find time to yourself, just bite your tongue, hold your tongue, don't say anything, and just let the scenario wash over. Because here's what's going to happen. Here's the thing. If you choose to say nothing at all from that point forward, time will still progress. And eventually, enough time will progress where your brain can calm down. Mm-hmm. So if I ever start to spiral out of control in that kind of way, if I start to notice my emotions are flaring up, what I do is I just put the silencer on. I just go, boop, mute button on myself. And I just go, like, even if I'm angry, I just, which doesn't happen, but even if I'm angry, even if I'm upset or whatever,
when do you ever get angry?
Yeah. Even if I'm upset to any degree, I just kind of do nothing. And I just let the whole scenario wash over, because eventually with time, it usually does. Or if it's something I have to do, I just do it. Like, okay, I really don't want to do that activity right now, but I'm just going to zip my lips and start doing it and get it over with. And what I find is in that moment, or while I'm working on that activity, my brain starts to have more and more time to think about things. And then it has more time to start to break down those stresses one at a time. So that's my best advice. When you start to spiral out of control, zip it and then do whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. Even if you don't like it, even if it feels like it's adding to your stress level, in that activity of doing whatever it is, your brain will start to have a little bit more time to calm down, and you won't, through panicking, cause anything that is terrible, So just try to focus on what's important at that time. And that's the best I've got. So, Joe, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, it one of the things that might be helpful here, and I love what Ryan was getting at, and asking why. And this is one of the this is one potential reason why you respond the way that you do, and it helps to know a little bit about personalities. We were talking about this as we were going through different characters in the Criminal Idol series, and we were talking about, well, this person's personality, they're kind of explosive, and so like they explode when they're upset, and they might, like, so they might quickly explode, but then they're also quick to get past it and come back,
Mm-hmm.
right? And but then people who, if we take a while to get upset, and then we just kind of slowly get upset, and we kind of keep it bottled up, and we keep it bottled up and internalize it, and we don't deal with it, and it just continues to build and build and build and build and build, then when we finally reach the point of no return, it may not be as explosive, but it lasts a long time.
Mm-hmm.
and it can be like, nuclear winter cold, right? Like for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things, if you are, you can keep it real simple. If you consider yourself more introverted or extroverted, you can ask yourself that question: am I more of an introvert or more of an extrovert? Meaning, am I more, do I like to be by myself, or do I like to be around other people? Right? And then you can ask yourself, am I more task oriented, or am I more people oriented? Like, when I look at a situation, do I tend to focus more on the tasks at hand or the people involved? Right? So, and the answer to those two questions will have a little bit of a determination. Generally, people who are more extroverted, they generally tend to be a little bit more explosive. Introverted people kind of keep things to themselves. They internalize it and stuff, right? And then and that's really kind of the main question to ask when you're going to be responding to stresses and that kind of thing. Because I think the task oriented versus people oriented is just going to tell you how you act. If
It
you're
might
more
help. It might help to be able to solve the problem, whether you're people oriented or task oriented. But
Mhm.
beyond that,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true. But if you're more task oriented, you also, if you're extroverted and task oriented, you're what's called a choleric, and that would be Aoke in the Criminal Idol series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she's explosive, but also because she's more task oriented, she doesn't think about how her response will affect other people as much. She is thinking about, the thing that happened, and like, like, oh, I'm mad about the thing, and get out of my way, because doggone it, I'm gonna, like, I'm upset about that. And
Mm-hmm.
people's feelings kind of get set aside, right? Whereas someone who's extroverted but then thinks about people more, they're going to take a little bit more care with the people around them as they explode. I guess. you know. But Ryan's absolutely right. If you're task oriented, you will think of more solutions as you go, right?
Yes.
Um,
People oriented will be more open to how other people feel, changing how they feel. But task oriented people are going to be looking at how to solve the problem
mhm.
without people. They want to solve the problem by getting something done, but um, people oriented people will try to solve the problem by talking to other people.
Okay. Cool. So Baka, you say you're an extrovert. So okay, so yeah, you might be more prone to having these things kind of well up quickly, and have exactly what you're describing in here. Like, you might kind of spiral out of control faster than someone who's introverted, because it'll just get away from you. And so what Ryan's key question is going to be so important here, and that is why. What is it about this that's making me upset? And you can really pinpoint things. And a lot of times it might not be the thing itself, but it's just the building up of a whole bunch of other things. And this is just the, like the cliche statement, the straw that broke the camel's back. This is just the one thing on top of everything else that kind of set you off. We deal with that in relationships. Like if you're in a romantic relationship of any kind, you'll deal with that where, just little things are bugging you about the other person for a long, 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 long time. And then all of a sudden you have this crazy fight about something ridiculously dumb.
Something stupid like that piece of carpet, you touched it.
Yep.
And now it's got a snag.
Yep.
And that explodes everything.
But it isn't the carpet that's the problem. It's all the other little things that have just been building up and building up and building up over time. And so, the better we can get at when we start to feel those feelings, asking that question, why? The better we can get at doing that earlier, before things get to the out of control spiral, the more we'll have control for longer periods of time. If we just handle them as they come and just be like, okay, why does this bother me? Oh, it bothers me because of this. Why does it bother me when I drive over some fresh pavement that, one of those little patches of pavement? I don't know if they do this in other states, but in Michigan, that's how they fix the roads.
Yeah, they do.
They dump some pavement in the hole and then let people drive over it to pack it down in there. Right? And so then you drive over it and it kind of gets stuck in your tires and it's sprays it up on your car, and you go over it and it goes like, and you end up with tar covered rocks stuck to your car, right? Mm-hmm. Why does this bother me? And the reason it bothers me, honestly, is because I used to work at a car wash and people would really want to get those things taken off their car, and they were a real pain to get off. Like personally, I don't really care so much. Like my car, hey, it's going to be dirty most of the time because I drive it all the time. So, it doesn't really matter if my car's dirty, but underlying, I have this notion in my head that's like, I remember it being such a pain to get that off of people's cars, and people were really upset about it, especially people who are regulars at the car wash because they valued having a clean car. We used to have people come through there almost every day to have their car washed, and their car looked beautiful. And then I'm sitting there and like, you're spending like $10 a pop here. Like
the only spot I found in your car was a piece of dust.
Every day, that's a $300 a month bill for keeping your car clean. And I'm like, crazy. And but they value having a clean car, and so when they got something like that on there, man, they were really upset. And so their upsetness kind of makes me a little bit fussy when I drive over the little pothole things, right? So, and sometimes you can look at that and you can kind of laugh. Like I had to ask myself that just yesterday when I drove over one of those spots, and I got all upset a little bit in my mind. I didn't like freak out, but I started to feel myself getting upset when I heard that sound and the tar and the rocks were like collecting on my car, and I'm like, ah. And I'm like, wait, why does this bother me? My car's always dirty. Like, why does it even matter? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's because I used to work at a car wash. Oh yeah. And then it kind of brought back some memories, and I was like, that's ridiculous. Okay, I don't have to be upset about that because that's all behind me. So that's just a little bit deeper into what you were talking about, Ryan, which is
Yeah, it's a
ask
great example.
why. Why does this bother you? And you might find it something silly like that. Or you might find it something serious. And if you find it something serious, then you might have another why question to ask. But one of the things I learned from an early mentor of mine was that you can ask why. You can just continue to ask why. Kids have a knack for this, asking why, right? We should do that to ourselves. Why is this? Well, because of this. Well, why is that? Well, because of this. Well, why that then? you know?
Yeah.
And you finally get to the root of something. And like Ryan was saying, he's like, this mentor he'd be like, yeah, I usually ask why a bunch of times about why something's bothering me or why something's a certain way. And I ask why and I ask why and I ask why about, maybe 10 or 12 times. And by the time I get to the end of it, it's, well, because I'm a jerk and I'm selfish.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually that's how it goes. Because I'm a jerk and I'm selfish. Well, there we go. Now I don't have to be mad about it. Now I know the problem.
So now I don't have to be, but I don't have to be a jerk and be selfish. Like I can,
Right.
I can fix that. So anyway, yeah. Ryan, did you have anything else?
No, I don't. But I think that I really hope and sincerely hope that really helps. Joe and I are both introverts. And so you might find someone else out there who has more experience as an extrovert solving this emotional control problem. And I just want to hand it to you like that you are even trying. I think that's so awesome, so important. And I mean, it can be done. I know a lot of people who the first thing is just knowing that your emotions are a triggered response that are subconscious, meaning they're habits, right? They're perspective habits. So when you receive an emotion, that isn't something that you have to listen to. It's just your first response, right? And so if I listen to a song and I don't like it, that's my first response. But sometimes I have to give the song a few plays before I can go like, oh, actually, no, there are things in the song that I like, right? And that's true for emotions too. When you get an emotion, it's not who you are. It's just a reaction. And so you can take that reaction and say, you know what? I'm going to dismiss this. Or I'm just gonna let that one go. But I think it's important to, of course, not allow those things to build up on each other. If you say like, there's a difference here between, I think this is the last thing I have to say. When you have an emotional response, there's a difference between saying, okay, I'm going to tolerate it and not act out, and then doing that over and over and over until you explode. That's not emotional control compared to, I mean, it is emotional control, but it's not the same effectiveness as emotional control that goes, okay, I just received that. And instead of just tolerating it, I'm going to attempt to change my mind about that. I'm going to allow myself to enjoy it instead of hate it. Or I'm going to dismiss it altogether, not just tolerate it, but dismiss it, dismiss my feelings. There are many times when I'm having a conversation with somebody and I have to dismiss my feelings so that I don't have to tolerate them, but I can accept them. So that I don't have to tolerate their ignorance or whatever it is. I'm not talking about anybody here, by the way. But I don't have to worry about like, oh, they did this wrong and then they did that wrong and they did this wrong. And then just, I'm tolerating it. We don't want to just tolerate it. We want to be able to remove that from ourselves because otherwise it's going to build up. So instead of tolerating it, just be able to go, that's okay, and let it go. It's okay if that's what they think. What is it to me? I'm going to let that go so I can focus on loving them. Because I don't want to get in the way. I don't want my emotions to build up and up and up and up until I explode on them. I want to be able to love them. Right? And so in that, I just take whatever they say and instead of just tolerating it, process it through my mind as fast as I can to come to a point where I can dismiss it entirely and say, my toleration, that pent up feeling, that dislike, that distaste, that disgust that just built up within me, I don't want to hold on to that. I want to release that and get it out of me as soon as possible. So maybe someone says something that I think is disgusting or irrational, like they like a certain thing that it's like, how could you possibly like that? It's evil.
Like mushrooms.
And instead of going, huh?
Like mushrooms.
Like mushrooms. Yeah. Okay. How could you possibly like that? That's an evil act, right? And then just instead of tolerating it, instead of like, because we can go, we can explode right at that time and go like, I can't believe you, blah blah blah. We don't want to do that. We could tolerate it and go, yeah, they're just an idiot, and whatever. I'm holding on to that thought, and that's the way I think about them from now on. And then, oh, and then they said this. Oh, and then they said that. Oh my gosh, what a terrible person. And then they said this. I'm like, wow. Instead of building those up, and now this could be not just a person that I'm dealing with. This could be just scenarios in life that are happening, right? Instead of allowing those to build up because you're tolerating them, don't just tolerate them. Just accept that that's what it is and say, okay, that's what they like. That's not okay. But you know what? I need to love this person and not focus on, I don't want to hold a grudge. I don't want to say that that's who this person is, because that's incorrect. I don't want to say that that's what life is. Life isn't just the series of problems, right? Life is all sorts of different things. If I hold on to those, if I have a grudge against those problems, if I'm unable to let those problems go, it's just going to build up. So I need to be able to let those problems go, whatever they are, whether it's with a person or with ourselves or with the environment around us or whatever, right? Oh, it's cold outside and it's raining and it's now hailing and, all this stuff, right? You allow those things to build up and you're just going to have a terrible time. So you got to be able to find a way in yourself. And I don't know necessarily what this mechanic is, but to be able to allow it to be that way and just let it go and say, you know what? Life is awesome even if this is going on. And if you can say that line to yourself, like, hey, life is awesome even if that is going on. Life is awesome even if that person thinks this way. Mm-hmm. What is it to me? Life is awesome even if I just spilt orange juice on my lap. Hey, that'll come out. Like, tomorrow that won't be my issue anymore. Mm-hmm. Like 14 minutes now and I just changed my pants, it's not going to be an issue. Or maybe I have to survive all of the rest of school with this, right? It's like, but it's whatever. It's one day. Mm-hmm. Who cares? You know what? Let's have fun with it. Like, hey guys, I just painted my pants with orange. Like, you can take this scenario and instead of holding a grudge against life, make life awesome as the baseline and say, you know what, these things happen, but life's still awesome, and just dismiss whatever happens. Now, obviously, like I said, you don't want to dismiss it and become unable to criticize yourself, unable to hold the bar, high on life, to desire better, right? To not admit fault. A fully just everything is positive look isn't necessarily healthy. It's nice, but it's not healthy. Because then you take away your ability to improve, right? So I'm not trying to say live a life where you're an absolute, you're absolutely blind to problems, But what I am saying is being able to dismiss without holding a grudge. Don't hold a grudge on life. Things happen, and just dismiss them one at a time, mm-hmm. the best you can. But yeah, yeah.
Good topic, cool. Baka. Thank you so
much.
much.
Yeah, great topic. Thank you so much. Yeah. Again, I'm proud of you. Keep on doing that hard thinking that you're doing and mm-hmm. and finding those conclusions and solutions, because I think it's really awesome that you come even before us to ask these questions. I think that's really magnificent. To me, it sounds like you're already figuring it out, mm-hmm. and you don't necessarily need us, but we appreciate that you stop by and help and ask for our help so that we can even help other people in this area mm-hmm. Who might not know anything about the subjects either.
Yeah.
So
sometimes the questions that we need to know the answers to are the ones that we don't even know to ask. And I remember that was the case when I would listen to call-in shows and stuff like that. People would ask all these questions. And I'm like, oh, man, I really needed to hear the answer to that. I didn't even know it, but I did. And so just, mm-hmm. yeah. But you're right. You're right, Ryan. The fact, Baka, that you are even asking these questions is like a huge, like, you're already thinking about this. And so that, mm-hmm. you're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
But just make sure you have some patience with
props.
yourself and some grace with yourself, and don't let yourself beat yourself up while you grow.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna grow and we're gonna get better. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's awesome.
Absolutely true. Awesome. Well, I'm going to run through the list again. I know that we had Helmer Rock here with us earlier, but they had to go. So hopefully they'll be back and we can do theirs. But in the meantime, I'm going to run through the list. Let us know if you're here. We've got Seplev, SK, Pika, Jesse, Colin Vulcan, Random, Ian Lam, Helmer Rock Hero, Pear, Lil McGee, Kinshin Slayer, Lay, Meow, Ezekiel Games, and Sparrow. So, Meow says end of show, motivational moment
It's
video.
a
Oh, okay, yeah, got
specific
it.
project thing, so
Mm.
we can
Yeah,
get
it's
there
the
when we
project
get there
thing.
at the
Cool.
end. So
Fantastic. So we can do that at the end. Awesome. So it looks like the people that showed up are now no
Sparrow's
longer
here.
able. Oh, we got
Sparrow
Lay.
and
Good.
Lay is here.
Yes.
Lay's is a pretty big one, just so you guys know, and it's runtime of 1:15ish. So
Okay.
Okay. I mean,
Um,
Lay put his in the website before the show, right?
well, he messaged me before the
Oh,
show,
messaged
which is
you
why
before the
it's
show.
in
Okay,
there. But
gotcha.
he's first on the list, and it's totally fine if we do it. Just the show might go late, just knowing the genre of topic it is. So
Okay. Well,
which
Ryan's
you
the
guys are
host,
cool
not
with,
me.
you guys are
So
cool with.
cool. Yeah, no. I'm might as well. We can do Lay's, and Lay's not with us all that often, so it'd be good to do it while he's with us, because I know he's very busy.
Yeah.
So it'll be nice to be able to do that. So actually, if we choose not to, maybe they'll show up next time. Good tactic, hey? Just kidding.
Blade is here. What's
All
up,
right,
Blade?
Lay,
do
you
you
better
have a
show up next
topic?
time.
Huh?
Lay has a topic. Yeah.
I said Blade. Does
Oh,
Blade
Blade.
have a topic? I know Lay has a
Oh,
topic.
Blade.
I wasn't sure
I
if
think
Blade
that's
is under
just-
some other name.
I think that's just an announcement. Blade is here. Blade, you made it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
welcome.
The blade has come. Welcome. Okay. Well, fantastic. So this
Thank you,
is Lay. It's titled Looking for Help. And Princess is going to do the honors of reading it for us.
Mhm.
If that's all right.
One
It is
minute
quite
moment.
long, as
Yes, it
Princess said.
is. I will be fine. It's just getting it up and
We used to
all
have
that
long
other
ones like
cool
this all the
stuff.
time, you know?
yeah. Bree, Akil tended to do these types of really long ones.
Lay, real quick,
This isn't
unless
that
Princess
long,
has
though.
already done this, what would you say the ultimate... Oh, is that what you just posted, Princess? The topic for this, like in its purity, in its finest form, smallest form.
It's the best I've got.
Okay.
The best he's got is help me. That's the 2 words at
Fantastic.
the end of it. So let me just read it out and I think you'll understand.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been a while since I've been active, since I've spent the past, it's been a half a year lurking in Don't Worry Wednesdays. A lot has happened since then. Some things were good, others great, and some a calamity. But I'm getting ahead of myself. For the past 3 years, I've been trying to fix myself for a long time now. I've been making slow but steady steps towards self-improvement. I looked at my oldest friends for help and inspiration, and well, you guys, as well as you guys to help guide my mind. And it all genuinely helped. Among those people who helped me was a girl, and let's call her Uria. I like Uria there from now on. She was an old friend of mine as of 8 years, and probably one of the few people I instantly fell for the second we met. It was not like it was love or anything, since my heart was taken at the time, but it was certainly a sweet spot for her in my heart. Either way, I actually started getting back up. After years of work and no improvement, I finally started seeing results. I dropped out of a toxic relationship, which felt like I was just in to help me cope with losing someone I loved. Started losing weight. I actually started to enjoy the way I looked. I even went so far with my self-esteem as streaming because it felt like I could entertain people. After dropping out of that toxic relationship, I started to spend more time with friends. I ended up rekindling some old friendships too. Everything felt so sweet for a while. I actually started thinking maybe I'm good enough. Maybe I actually deserve to be loved, to be fixed, and be right. I looked up to my parents and asked if I could see a therapist, which they turned down. That was a rather hard blow for my self esteem, but I got back up rather quickly, mostly thanks to Uria and all my friends. That's when I realized something was off, though. When I had met Uria, we weren't just hugging like we used to. The hugs were much closer. Each glare was full of care and love. I cut that thought away for a while and just wrote it off as me having just a crush. But eventually it turned into kisses, cuddly sleepovers, and watching our favorite shows as well as spending time together daily. And I was getting some rather clear signals. Until one day she just moved out of her house. And at first it was supposed to be going after a good friend she's known for a long time, with the prospect of a job and multiple people looking over her. Still, that was 100 kilometers of road that would be added in between us. I was skeptical, however, that what was about to come. It was a bit too much. After creating a plan with our close friend for Urea to move in with her, Urea suddenly dropped that plan whatsoever and moved to another friend of mine's house. That was probably that would probably not make me bat an eye, if not for the fact that they knew each other for a week total and never saw one another. That was a bit concerning, but I figured it would be alright. It's just 300 kilometers. We can always visit, and me and Uria could always spend time together online like we did. No biggie. So she moved, and in about a week of us not spending time together, I spoke up to her about it with the promise that it will be changed soon. Almost a month later, I wrote again, reminding Uria that she promised we would spend time together, and that was nowhere to be found. Everyone but the friend she moved in with was suddenly cut off, and everyone felt pushed away. So naturally, I started spending time with others, since I was not going to wait idly for her to come to me. I even got to visit a psychiatrist for a single visit. She announced bankruptcy a week later. Yuri, however, got jealous. She lashed out at me, and I lashed back at her. We got into an argument, and it was a bit cold between us. But I'd hoped it would be solved now that we started spending more time together. She, however, was absurdly jealous over everything. I couldn't have spent time with the friend she moved in with, but she could have spent any time in the world with anyone, and God forbid that I ever mentioned that hypocrisy. She lashed out in anger against me because she was suddenly the villain, in air quotes. It wasn't all black all the time. There was times of genuine bliss after that, but she visibly grew colder and colder until eventually one day, 2 weeks ago, she broke off our friendship officially, saying that I ruined it because I spent time with people who despised her, and that she didn't want to be a punching bag anymore. I did not and still do not understand that statement, since everyone liked her and they still support her, with me being the only one pushed away. I feel lost. The past 2 weeks have been incredibly painful for me to bear. I lost a lot of my motivation. I ruined both of my sleeping schedules. Wait. Oh, both my sleeping schedule and with nights full of tears, as well as my eating schedule with the loss of appetite. The sleep schedule reflected me oversleeping a lot of my university lessons. I can see a lot of progress in my self esteem was undone, and what used to be, maybe I should go see one to check what's wrong with me, turned into, there's something wrong with me. I should get rid of that part of me, with regards to more and more parts of myself. I keep catching myself thinking how much I hate everything, even though I don't really want to. I keep catching myself how everything would be better if I were gone, but I guess the years of work paying back now, since I can find reasons, however unhealthy they may be, to stay around. Every now and then I think about the past 2 weeks with the interactions I've had with Uria. I will get that name right someday. But they have both shown me that I am dear to her, as well as she now seems to hate me, or at the very least blame me. I know I should specify a question, but I'm sorry. This time I only have 2 words. Help me. From Lay.
All right.
I apologize for butchering that.
You're good. You're good. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for reading that, Princess, and thank you for asking and sending in this topic, Master Lay. I can 100% feel you on this. I've definitely had experience going through these types of scenarios before with people on more than one account, and it totally sucks. It really, really stinks a lot, especially when you care a lot about a person and they make you to be an evil person, or they just distance themselves for a long time, and it gets very, very difficult, because then our emotions are against us, our desires or feelings of interest or affection for somebody end up hurting us more than helping us, and it can really tear us apart inside. And that emotional battle of like, I want this, but it's not coming. But then of course, like, just, yeah, this person doesn't like me even though I like them so much, and now they're saying I'm the one who's wrong, and I don't think I was wrong, but it's really hard. Relationships can be very difficult, and I just saying I can relate to this a lot, and so hopefully we'll have some things to share that can help you move forward and beyond this. Thing is, there are definitely scenarios where in life, um, where we put too much power in other people's hands to kind of determine how we feel. You know, like you might care for this person, but you can't control them. And that's really difficult. You don't want to control them, right? That's not the point. But the point is ultimately, like, because you can't control them, but you're putting your emotions in their power. It's a pretty unhealthy activity, and we all have done that in our lifetime. In fact, that's how, believe it or not, it's a healthy thing when we're a baby, because when we're a baby, when we're a child, when under the age of 7, we get that feedback from our parents, and that helps us to understand, what we should and shouldn't be doing. You know, we can receive punishment that is through relationships, or encouragement through relationships with our parents, and that's a beautiful thing. But at some point down the line, if we continue to put that power in people's hands, it can be devastating. Um, so there's a lot to this that we can hopefully break down, and um, help you to move forward. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Joe has to say about all this. So take it away, Joe.
Yeah. You're right, Ryan. There is a lot that we could talk about here. There are a
Yeah.
lot of different angles we could take with this. So we might not get to all of them, but hopefully we can touch on the important ones that'll be helpful. Um, but yeah, as I was reading along, and I noticed a few things that were kind of jumping out in this scenario, and one of the things I wanted to remind you, Lay, is that we're all human. You're a human. She is human. I would imagine that she is hurting in this situation too. And so she's probably, I mean, maybe you realize this, I don't know, but for me, I generally have the tendency, when somebody does something that's really hurtful for me, I generally picture them sitting back and just being all okay and fine, and just like, not caring at all about the whole situation. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there in misery, dealing with the emotional pain and baggage that comes with, this situation that's happened between us. But the thing to remember is that she also is human, and so she's probably hurting just as much. In fact, the way she's acted, throughout this situation tells me that she is definitely in pain. Now, she may be putting up some kind of a tough front, in order to, that's how maybe she is dealing with it, where she's trying not to appear weak, or trying to just be like, okay, well, this isn't working, whatever, and trying to be decisive, but deep down, there's a challenge going on here. There's a struggle, and you can generally tell, with when somebody's being irrational, that their emotions are out of whack. they might seem like they're cool and collected, you know, and they might seem like they have it together, but if they're being irrational and they're saying things that don't really add up or don't make sense or whatever, or there's like what you were talking about, kind of a deeper hypocrisy going on where there was jealousy of you spending time with anybody that you knew, but she could spend time with whoever she wanted to and it was fine, you know, like that. um when someone's acting that way, um they're they're probably getting emotionally hijacked and they just don't know quite how to deal with it, and so they're kind of just grasping at stuff to try and, you know, to throw something out there so they don't have to admit fault or feel like they were wrong or whatever, and so they'll just start throwing everything. I know that for one of my sons, um it's it's an absolute joy watching him grow up. It's an absolute joy watching both my kids grow up, you know, and it's always, we seem to graduate to a new level the older they get. You know, my oldest son is 12, my youngest son is 9, and so like so they enter new phases, and you know, it's funny because they're different personalities, and so when my 9-year-old hit 9, he not acting the same as my 12-year-old was when he was 9, right? there are major differences there. But with one of my kids, I notice that when he starts to get upset, he starts to pull out all kinds of other things that are hurting him and throw them into the thing. Like he might be upset because, you know, he had to, because it's time to stop playing Minecraft and, you know, go outside or whatever, right? And so he might be kind of getting upset because of that. But he'll start bringing up other times that we've done things to hurt his feelings, and he'll start throwing those out there and start throwing, you know, like kind of just to throw more ammo at the fire, right? And so when that's happening, I know the best response that I can have is no response. Because if I respond, it's not going to get paid attention to, first of all, because he's kind of in the one-track mind, right? And so I would say in this situation, just because it seemed like there was kind of some irrational stuff. Now, I wasn't there, so I don't know for sure. But just from what you're telling me, I don't think there was really much you could have said that would have been helpful. Because I think there was, you know, this sounds to me like a one-track mind here. Like, okay, we're now focused on negative. And so we're just going to bring up everything that we can possibly think of that's negative. And so we're going to throw that in as justification for us feeling this way and taking the action that we want to take, right? So, and we're all human, so we all kind of do that, right? We look at something we want to do and we're like, well, maybe it is or maybe it isn't the right thing, and so we kind of try to stack up justifications for ourselves of doing that thing that we really want to do but maybe isn't the best thing to do. And you know, but we want to make it seem like it's the right decision, so we sell it to ourselves, right? And then we have to sell it to everyone else around us, even though sometimes they don't need to have it sold to them, right? But we feel like we need to explain it and justify it in a certain way. So there was a little bit of a hint of that that I was noticing in the description of what was going on. But long distance relationships are really tough. I will say that. And I know it was stressful for you, Lay. And it was stressful for her too. And, you know, you mentioned earlier that you had gotten out of a toxic relationship before, the recent toxic relationship. And, how do I put this? A long distance relationship, by definition, has some degree of toxicity in it. Just the fact that there's the distance. That distance is some bit of toxicity. It's a struggle, it's a challenge. Some people tough it out, some people don't. And it really kind of depends. I was in a long distance relationship with my wife for a long time. Long time. And we were, well, almost 200 miles we lived apart for a long time. And it was hard. We'd see each other. We'd see each other about every weekend. You know, we made that time. But it was hard, and it has manifested itself even to this day. You know, that level of toxicity still plagues us in certain ways. And I don't know if it's just the fact that we're too stubborn to to end it. You know, I don't know what it is. You know, there are times when it's just like, you know, how are we even still together? How did we not end it back when that was going on? How did we not end it back when this was going on? And I don't know, maybe we're just too stubborn. I don't know. But at the same time, it's painful. Anytime there's a breakup, anytime there's a rupture like this, it's painful and it's hard. But remember this, Lay, that even though something's painful, it can be beneficial. And even though it's hard, and it would have been great for this relationship to continue, and, you know, you guys had some genuine loving feelings for each other, and, you know, there was an attachment that has now been ruptured, and that hurts. We grow through pain. And I think I mentioned that in the last topic. Pain is part of healing, and it's part of growth. We exercise, and our muscles hurt after we get done with that. You know, sometimes for a week afterward, depending on what we've done to ourselves, right?
Sometimes you can't even get out of bed.
Sometimes you can't get out of bed. Sometimes you can go up the stairs just fine, but going down the stairs is ridiculously hard.
Nice.
You know, there are times for everything, but in that pain, growth is happening. We don't think about it because all we think about is that it hurts, right? But you can rest assured, Lay, that there is growth happening in you right now as you go through this pain. And there's something that you're here to do. And this is equipping you to do it better and to be better at it. And so I'm really, really proud of you. Because, one, I mean, you're here, you're willing to talk about it, you're willing to have us talk about it. And, you know, I mean, that takes a level of courage in and of itself. To admit that, hey, maybe I need to go see a therapist. That takes a level of courage in and of itself. And, you know, and courage and humility at times to be like, hey, there's an issue here. Yep, I need to talk to somebody. Okay, because a lot of people would just be like, hey, no, I don't have any issues. If there's an issue going on, it's yours. Right? But deep down, they know there's an issue. They just don't want to face it. You, Lay, are facing it. You're letting yourself experience the pain. You're facing it. And that tells me you're going to grow through this. Now, it might be hard, and I know, you know, sometimes this is the last thing you want to hear. But I would recommend doing what you did when you got out of the last toxic relationship. Reconnect with some people that maybe you weren't connected to. Build those relationships that are friendships. If you I can't remember what your outlets were, what creative outlets you had, maybe get involved there. And also, it wouldn't be a show with me if I didn't say exercise, because I'm telling you, it does good things. It does good things for your mind to exercise your body. It clears things up. It helps you feel more confident in yourself. You don't even have to like get yourself in really awesome shape or work out really strenuously, but if you just do something physical, it's going to line things up in your head in a better way. I promise. You should just try it. So anyway, that's kind of what I've got, and I'm going to turn it to Ryan. So Ryan?
All right. Yeah, thanks, Joe. And thanks, Lai, for this topic. Yeah, I mean, what Joe just said at the end, sometimes it is the right answer to do the thing that's the hardest. Sometimes it is just about letting go of a person, even though you know you still might have feelings for them and you want things to work out. Yeah. I forgot to death about the routine. Oh, I forgot. Okay. You know, here's the thing. When you talked about self-esteem a lot in your post, and I think that that's very wise of you. Yeah, I got it. You forgot about exercise. Yeah, got to definitely, if you keep that up, that really helps clear your mind and things like that, and make things work right.
Doesn't have to be ridiculous.
Yeah, and it also helps with your self-esteem. The thing is, like you mentioned multiple times in this, your self-esteem, and I think that is a very important thing. When you have faith in yourself and who you are, it's a lot easier to handle things, right? Because you're not questioning yourself. You're not trying to figure out how to make yourself look good. You're not worrying about things that don't matter if you worry about them, because they don't change if you worry about them. You just lose yourself, and it's awful. So here's something that I do when I have these kind of conflicts. If I'm in a conflict with somebody and they're kind of acting this way towards me, right, where they're maybe being a little hypocritical, or maybe they're going at me, they're trying to tell me about all my faults, maybe they're whatever it is. If I start to notice their mentality is set against me, I let myself go. And what I mean by that is it's not in my favor to try to prove them wrong or defend myself. I mean, maybe you believe in Jesus or not, but either way, when Pilate was, Pilate's the one who judged him. Pilate was the governor of the area, and Pilate was the one ordered to be the judge of Jesus. And he looks at Jesus and he's asking him these questions, and Jesus doesn't defend himself. And Pilate is overtaken by this. Pilate is so overtaken by this that he is convinced even that he's dealing with someone who he feels like has more power than him. Pilate is the governor of the area, and he is the judge over Jesus, and yet he's the one that feels like he's on trial. When he's questioning Jesus, he's like, he comes to a point where Jesus hasn't really defended himself at all, and he comes to a point where he's just like, I'm not gonna be the one that sends him not to the cross. Someone else, please come and do this for me. So he goes to the Jews and they're like, hey, we get this thing where we can release somebody. We always do this around this time of year. We release one person, and they're like, yeah, release this guy named Barabbas who just murdered a bunch of people, because we want to make sure Jesus gets on the cross. And Jesus still is like, doesn't really, like, he says stuff, but he doesn't defend himself. And then he's like, no, I'm done. Like he's afraid. And it's really weird because that happens to people in real life too. If someone is coming at you, the best thing you can do is calm the situation by not worrying about yourself. Obviously, there's situations in life where someone's coming at you with a knife. That's different. But we're talking about when someone's aggressive towards you, someone is clearly having a bad time in their life and they're putting all of that against you. It's easy to recognize. It's hard, but it's noticeable that their problem isn't with you. Their problem is with themselves, and they're putting it on you. You know, Joe's talking about his child, and how he's, you know, he's taking all these things and he's using them as excuses and just throwing them at all the negative things that ever happened, just because he wants his way. The problem isn't all those things. The problem isn't Joe and Joe's saying, hey, could you go, you know, get off of Minecraft and go play outside for a while? That's not the problem. The problem is all of these things that the kid built up inside of him, right? The problem is with the kid's mind, not Joe's, you know, or his mother's order or command, right? Throw the child. Yes. Yes. So anyways, yeah, exactly. He wants to wash his hands. Perfect, Raka. So my point is, when you're in this scenario with this girl who's kind of being, just pointing out all the negatives and kind of putting you on the spot, recognize you're not the one on the spot here. Recognize that you need to just let go of yourself. You're fine. You're safe. There's no, like, when someone walks into the room and they see a spider and they freak out, it isn't the spider's fault that it's a spider. It's just a spider. The problem is with the person that's freaking out about the spider. The problem is in that person's mind. And sometimes you have to recognize that about yourself. Sometimes people are going to hate on you. Sometimes people are going to say terrible things about you. Some people are going to betray your emotions. Maybe sometimes you're going to love someone and love them so closely and dearly that what they say matters a ton. And they're going to take that and just do the perfect thing that will just hurt you as much as possible. And you need to recognize that you're not at fault for those things. You're like the spider in the room. It's not the spider's fault for being a spider. It's the person who doesn't like spiders. It's that person's fault for not liking spiders. It's not your fault that they don't like spiders, you know? And similarly, Joe's looking around for spiders in his room.
I am. I saw one earlier right up there.
Yeah. Yeah, they're cool.
I think he's gone.
Yeah, they're happy. They're just you know, being themselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're that spider. Sometimes you're just ugly to other people. But you know what? Just let yourself go and say, that doesn't matter. I am who I am. And it doesn't change. The thing is, yes, there are times when we do bad things and people point them out. And that's a great time to change. But if you look at yourself and you go, and you have to like question yourself, was I wrong? Did I do something wrong? You know, sometimes the answer is no, you didn't do anything wrong. And the best thing you can do in those scenarios, when someone's just coming at you, when you recognize, okay, this person's kind of being delirious, this person's kind of being, they're losing themselves to their negativity, right? When that person is acting that way, the best thing you can do is love them. And by that, I mean, love them, not defend yourself. Allow yourself to be part of the problem just long enough for them to figure out that you're not the problem. There are many scenarios where I have tried that with people and I've been surprised at the success. I have allowed people to put all the blame on me. And then I just take it and I say, because I know it's not true and that's fine. And I just take it and I'm like, okay, I know me. I know that's not really an issue. I'm going to let them go with this so that they can work through it. So I just take it and I do my best to love them. By that, I mean, help them see themselves through the problem. Help them move forward. to, to love is to desire the best for someone
Mhm.
and being willing to help them get there. And sometimes that means, being the punching bag. And it's not okay. It's not like what they're doing is right. In fact, what they're doing is wrong. But they'll find that out. They'll find that out when they see your character, right? And they'll know that they've run up against a brick wall that, they're like, wait a minute, it was me. If you allow people to come to that conclusion, here's the thing. If you start, there's two things you got to not do. One, if you start putting all the negativity back at them, right? Or say, no, it's your fault. Or if you say, or like you try to over defend yourself and so on, you can kind of prevent them from being able to feel like they can trust you. You prevent them from being able to feel like you care about them, right? Then the other problem is when you believe them more than you believe yourself. When you give them the weight to control you. That's the other problem of this, right? Because you can be on the other side, right? When they start accusing you of things, you just go cowardly and you go, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I didn't even know, I'm so sorry, I didn't, blah blah blah, and you just become overly apologetic and you allow them to have that power over you, over your emotions about how you feel about yourself. What you end up doing is only helping them become worse, right? So it's hard, but you have to find that line, the correct route. So when someone is rude to you, you have to recognize like, hey, that's not okay behavior, right? But it doesn't mean I need to defend myself. It's not really a big deal. I know who I am. Have that self-esteem, have that self-confidence, have that self-dignity that like, hey, whatever this person is saying is false. That's okay. They don't know better. They're having issues and I need to help them at this moment. That is clear. So how can I help them? It's not by, right? It's not by going, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. I feel so terrible, because that's just wrong. You're allowing them to have power over you in places where they're going to try to keep on doing that to you, right? And you foster that behavior and you cause them to do it over and over and over. And it just makes the relationship worse and worse and worse. I've had experience with this. I've gone through that and it's terrible. And I've also been on the other side where I just overly defend myself because I'm worried about my own self-image, right? Where it's like, excuse me, like I didn't do that, blah, 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 blah. No, you're the one who's acting ridiculous, and I take all of that anger that they're throwing at me and I put it right back on them. That doesn't help either. So you have to be strong in who you are, right? And by taking their weight and just letting them lean on you, even if it's disgusting the way that they do it, it will improve your self-esteem, but it'll also help them to discover their own toxicity, their own issues. They need someone that they can lean on that isn't pushing back or falling over. Does that make sense? Because there's three options. You either lean on you and you push back too hard, and that's a problem. They lean on you and you fall over underneath their weight, and that's a problem, right? And you can understand how this is metaphorically working out, when you push back or when you just fall over to their will, right? They need someone who can stand strong. They need someone who can take their weight and be a solid rock, right? Yeah. As you said, so put faith in their goodwill, help them, but don't further justify their behavior, and don't put their emotions toward me ahead of my own, right? Yeah, exactly. I think you get it. And it's hard to walk that line, but if you can do that, you find more and more that things start to work out. And I've gotten the chance to practice this. It's hard to give scenarios, but I've gotten the chance to practice this with many people and just taking the fault, but not taking the taking responsibility to help them, I should say. Taking the responsibility to be able to help them. not falling over underneath the pressure, letting myself go and not worrying about how they see me. Because a lot of times when all of these emotions come out, they're saying all these things, it has nothing to do with how they see you.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with how they see you.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it does. It sounds like they're showing you all of your negative sides
Mm-hmm.
because that's how they see you. They don't. A lot of times, but you can make them see you that way if you take the wrong actions,
Mm-hmm.
if you cave into it, or if you push too hard back, right? And you say, no, you're an idiot, you know?
If you get on the defensive, that generally.
Yes. If you get on the defensive, it
Mhm.
generally does cause them to start to see you that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, you have to be solid and you have to just be able to take a beating and recognize this is going to work itself out. I just need to sustain it long enough where I can help this person see what's really going on in everything and guide them through the conversation. And just like when they beat against me, you know, be like, oh, yeah, man, I'm so sorry if I hurt you that way. So like what happened up to that point? Start to ask questions that lead them to kind of solving it for themselves, you know? And yeah, and it's hard. It's hard. But if that's not an option anymore, if that's not an option anymore, understand, right? Because like maybe you're not in a relationship where you talk with this person anymore. You know, it's fine. That's fine. Um, if that's the case, understand that it's okay. It's okay if in a relationship it doesn't work out for the best in the end. Why is it okay? Because life goes on. You can look at that person and say, man, that was a bad moment for them. And that was a bad moment for me. But the beautiful thing is, life isn't over. Life continues forward. And that bad moment for them is a chance for great discovery in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to be someone on which part of the foundation of growth and wealth and well-being, you got to experience the bad part of it. You had to suffer with them through that, but that helps them. And you might never get to see that because you don't get to be around the person. But understand that that suffering that you went through with them will help build them in the future. So while you feel like, man, I still care about this person, right? That's good. You should care about the person. That's a loving thing to do, right? But if you never get to see the person again, right? If it's gone, done, and over with, recognize that suffering that you went through with them gets to help build that person in the future and help build you in the future. And that's what love is. It's sometimes that's what love is. It's suffering together so that we can both be better people. And sometimes that means being better people away from each other. And sometimes that means being better people with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would recommend is pray that she can use that suffering. Just say a prayer. Say a long prayer. Take some time. If you believe in God, you know, take some time and say a long prayer and saying, "Hey, I just pray that she take that situation we both went through and that we can both use it to become better people in the future." Because that will also help you to forgive yourself and forgive her. Because then you recognize that problem. It's okay. It's done and over with, and we can move on towards better life, towards being better people. And it refocuses your mind on the future of being better people instead of the past of when you made all those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's okay to admit that you made mistakes. We all have, right? It's okay to admit that they made mistakes. We all have. That's not a problem anymore. Those are done and over with. So we need to just focus on the future and go, okay, what's next? Where did I go wrong? Good. Now I know. And use that suffering for holy purpose, because that's what suffering is all about. For love, for greatness, for achievement, right? If you focus on the past, it's not going to change it, but you can focus on the future. So rerouting your mind to stop caring so much about all that problem that happened in the past. It's done away with. It happened. Now you are on a new page, and you maybe have a chance to fix that relationship. But if you don't, that's still okay. Suffering happened, and that's good. As long as you make good of it. Because you can make bad of suffering. You can sit there and make bad of suffering all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And all that happens is nothing good. But you can take that suffering and make good of it. And that's what we should be striving to do. Anyways, I know I've talked for a long time. We're at one length runtime 159, 2 minutes, 2 hours, something. But yeah,
It's all right.
I
We
apologize.
knew this was going to be a big topic. It's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, Joe, do you have anything you wanted to add on to that?
Well, I love what you were getting at, and like I love the whole you don't want to get on the defensive and and defend yourself and attack them by and push too hard, and then you also don't want to just be like, oh yeah, it's my fault, and just be like sorry, because both of those options are going to lead to problems for them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Right?
Problems for them.
and you as well, right? Because there are going to be more problems for them and for you. So, but and what Ryan was talking about is, to find that fine line in there, we can get a great example. And I've been proven of this over and over and over again. And we can take the example like Ryan used in his story about Christ in front of Pilate. Pretty much, he said nothing. He didn't say, I'm sorry, I did, I did these things. He didn't defend himself. He was pretty much silent. I've been in situations before with other people where they're coming at me, they're attacking, they're freaking out over something, they're hijacked. And I just sit there and listen. I don't have an expression on my face. I don't have some sarcastic expression on my face. And I don't have some apologetic expression or shocked expression. It's just a very calm. I'm just listening. And I just let them talk. And I don't say anything. Even when they ask a question, I don't answer it right away. I sit there and say nothing. And most of the time, because we've all heard this in sales, well, maybe you haven't because you haven't had any sales training. I don't know. But in sales training, they're always like, he who talks first loses. And it's not just in sales. It's in this type of situation too, right? So you sit and be silent. And don't squirm. That's the hard part because it's awkward. When it's silent, the silence is so loud it makes you go deaf almost because it's just like there's nothing happening and you're just like, whoa, But you just sit there and you wait. And you get better at it over time, right? This is one of those things that, the more you exercise it, the better you get at it. But if you can stay silent, they will break the silence with something. They will either continue on their tirade, or if they've asked a question and you don't say anything, a couple things might happen. They'll either continue where they left off when they figure out you're not saying anything, or they'll start to talk themselves out of their position. They'll kind of start to take your side, which happens from time to time too, because they'll see that you're not talking, so they're like, well, somebody's got to stand up for this person. They're not going to stand up for themselves. So I guess it's going to have to be me, or they'll ask you, they'll be like, so are you going to answer me? And in that moment, if they say, are you going to answer me? You can say something like, yeah, I'm just really trying to process everything you said. Because you are, like, in that moment when they're throwing a bunch of nonsense at you, it does take some time to process it. You should take some time to process it because you don't want to make take some rash response of, and have it be wrong and hurtful, right? So it's appropriate to take some time and process what they've said. And so that can be a truly honest statement where you're just sitting there in silence and be like, and they're like, "Well, are you going to answer my question? What do you have to say for yourself? Whatever, blah blah blah." And it's just, and you say, I'm sorry, I'm just processing what you said, and so I want to make sure that I think about it, and it's so interesting because I mentioned the situations with my son where, like, he'll get upset and he'll start freaking out about a lot of the different stuff, right? A lot of other things that are completely unrelated to the situation. He'll just start bringing them up and throwing them on the fire. And I've learned that I just sit there. I sit there and I listen. And he sees that I'm listening because I'm not like off doing something, but I'm there, I'm present, and I'm listening. And what happens, like, every time is he just had to work through it and calm himself down. Anything I would have said during the tirade would have made it worse. It would have just added more fuel. It would have added something to latch on to continue the fire going, right? But in silence, we can extinguish it. And it might take some time, but I just wanted to point that out, that, what Ryan was talking about, finding that even keel, that middle zone that's going to be like not forceful and not falling over. Silence is a great example. Now, it doesn't always work out. Sometimes you kind of get forced into a position where you got to say something. Or sometimes, like, I'll get caught up in it. I don't succeed at this every time. But I've noticed that things seem to do the best. The more I can stay silent. And I wanted to say one more thing about this, and that is, as Ryan was talking about, this whole thing, and what was going through my mind was, it's a great thing to do in something like this, is to remind yourself, okay, do the exercise. What's the worst thing that can happen as a result of this? What's the worst possible outcome here? And come to grips with that outcome. I've had to do that. What's the worst possible outcome? Well, I might get sued. I might go to jail. I might end up, getting a divorce. Who knows? Whatever. And then I come to grips with what would I do if that presented itself to me? Okay, well, if I ended up getting sued, well, this is what I would do. And now I'm ready for that scenario. If my wife ended up filing for divorce or whatever, like, what would I do if that happened? And then now in my mind, I've formulated what I'm going to do. So now, if that happens to me, I'm ready for it because I know what I'm going to do. I know it's probably going to be painful, but at least I have a plan, which kind of takes the teeth out of it a little bit, right? So then it's easy to adjust up. Once you've come to grips with the worst thing that can possibly happen in whatever situation, more than likely that worst thing is not going to happen. In fact, I think that happens almost never. But then, so now you're presented with something that's not the worst. So it's easier to adjust up, right? It's easier to say, like, okay, well, this isn't quite so bad because it's not that bad. But I was ready for that anyway. So now I guess, whatever. I can handle this. And what happens then is you remain calm, which is the key. You don't lose your cookies or your helmet or whatever you want to, you keep your wits about you. And that can make all the difference in the world. And it can bring you a lot of peace too. Because a lot of the situations, a lot of times we think, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose this whole thing. But if we come to grips with losing something, and we come to find out that, hey, you know what? I will survive even if I lose that thing. I'm going to be okay even if I lose that thing. I'm going to be able to handle it even if I lose that thing. And then, so now, since we're not afraid of losing that thing, when it looks like we might, we're a lot more calm and collected in the moment. And it's easier to maintain that keel, like Ryan was talking about, that middle ground of not being defensive and not cowering, right? We're just solid and firm, but relaxed and calm and not getting involved in the emotional quandary, if that makes sense. So anyway, that's all I had to add to what you were saying. But Ryan, what you were talking about was so spot on. I was like, man, this is great. I need to remind myself of this.
Yeah, I think the thing that helps me most in those scenarios, when I remember to do it, is just as soon as I see it, if I can remind myself, like, this person is struggling. I need to help them. And that helps set the attitude for everything I act like from then on. If I just recognize, like, hey, this person is struggling, I need to help them, then it's not so hard. I don't have to worry so much about defending myself. I don't have to worry so much about being so apologetic. Like, I'll apologize where I need to apologize. And I'll be like, oh, that's a good point. I will find places where I can agree with them, right? Like, if they're at me, I can find places where I agree with them. Like, oh, geez, yeah, I didn't even think about that. I'm so sorry, Then that helps, right? But to make sure that you're not a pushover, to make sure you still have your wits about you, and just to identify, like, hey, everything I say at this point, from this point on, is only to help them. And everything I choose not to say is to help them. Mm-hmm. And most of the time it's doing that. Most of the time it's not saying things and allowing them to vent, allowing them to get everything out there in the open so that they can hear it too. So then they can hear it going directed towards you, and then them going, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. That was probably, or allowing them to say those things and catch themselves and understand themselves. Sometimes people just need to vent, and it happens to be at you. This whole thing with this girl, it could very well be that she's feeling like she did those things to you. And instead of saying that she did them to you, she ended up saying that you did them to her. And she was trying to vent, but the way she vented was trying to basically make you a punching bag, and you kind of just fell over. And so, or maybe you pushed back too hard. You were a punching bag that punched back, and that's not what she needed. She needed someone that she could blame for her own problems so that she could recognize that, okay, I'm sorry, that was me who was doing those things, and I just was upset with myself. Sometimes that's how people are. I've encountered many people like that. I remember my uncle Andy was like, I hate your dad. I was like, why? And he was like, because he smokes and he drinks alcohol. And I'm like, you do those things too. And he's like, yeah. People are like that. Uh-huh. So how you stand your ground is important, but it's more about how are you going to help them in that moment when they're freaking out? Because it's not you that's the problem. You just need to be able to, how do you, just focus your mind on that? That helps. That just changes everything for me when I'm in those scenarios. This person is clearly freaking out right now. How am I going to help them? Maybe I was a problem. Maybe I did cause them to freak out. But either way, even if it was my fault or it wasn't my fault, how am I going to help this person? Because the point isn't like if I'm at fault, if it really was my fault, if I did something wrong, the point of talking to them is not to prove that I did the right thing. And it's not to prove that I'm a terrible person. It's not to prove any of those things. The point of the conversation is to help them forgive and be well again, and to repent, and to say, okay, I'm not going to do those things again. That's the point. The point of any of those conversations is to move both of us forward, not to defend oneself, not to look better than we actually are, not to look worse than we actually are, not to try to make them feel good. No, none of those. Don't try to make them feel good. Try to make them a better person. Try to make yourself a better person. That's what those conversations are about. And if we can remember that in those scenarios, it really helps us, give us a standing point and a ground to stand on, and just like that firm rock that they can lean on. So I know that now we've gone like 15 minutes over, and so I apologize, everybody. Yeah. I know that also we had something from Meowlido. Was that something that we wanted to go over? And I'm sorry for running late for everybody. Princess, I know you're tired. Maybe you're already taking a nap. I'm just kidding. I'm sure you're not.
Nope. If I was,
She's
I would
there.
play Stay Calm instead.
There you go.
She loved the cookie that
That's right.
Vanna gave her.
Yeah. Cookies are great. I had some cookies earlier today. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
have some cookies again probably.
Hey, Lay, thank you for the topic. Thank you
thank
so
you so
much. Because and it's great to see you again. It's been a while. Yeah, what an important topic, because I think this is something that we all deal with from time to time. Even if it's not specific, the specifics might be different, but a relational disruption is something all of us will handle at some point. Yeah, because we're people.
And the ultimate point of those disruptions is so that you can both be better people, both fix what's wrong with you. And if you don't take that opportunity, you end up just making it worse a lot of times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you so much, Leia. You're amazing. And I hope to see a lot more of you. It's really good to see you here. So, hold on, So, Princess, I'm sure you looked through it. Is this the thing from Meowlido, is that something that you think we should cover now, or should do it next time?
It would have to be now because the presentation's actually tomorrow. So if they wanted to include this in the presentation like they hope to, we could do it. We would have to do it now. Their video basically needs to be 1 to 5 minutes. 3 would be a good goal, but it'll probably go closer to 5, and that's probably fine. And basically you can think of it like an interview. At the bottom, I've kind of written a more summarized version of what they were thinking could be included in the little segment. Basically, it'd be like a little, like, hi, class. Then it would be talking about Don't Worry Wednesday after you introduce yourselves, and just kind of like what it's about, how you do things. And then you could do a small segment on like little thoughts on no one's in this alone, finding motivation or something that motivates you, community, and just, connecting with people, and that everyone has their own gifts, or everyone is special in some ways. Meow put it. And then kind of like a small outro and goodbye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, or did I speak too much?
Nope, I think you're good. And I think this would be a cool thing to do. I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around it.
Yeah. It's Joe and Princess. Are you open for time to do that?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Well, I can't speak for Princess.
Okay. Good.
And if you want, I don't know if you guys want to do it on your own, or if you want me to make it more of interview style, and I don't know what Meow is hoping for either in that, so that would be good to know thoughts on that.
Yeah. What are you looking for exactly? Is it? I mean, because technically you could take part of this video and splice it if you have that kind of program. Um,
I just think they were
if you
thinking
want
it'd be cool if you guys like directly spoke to the class. It's like a surprise of like, haha, look at us, we're so cool.
to. Hey guys, we're pretty cool.
We are the coolest.
We're the coolest.
They don't need a
You know
video,
the way.
but it was one of the recommended things, and he thinks it would be cool. And I think it'd be really cool to like
Sure.
be able to be like surprise a class, and all of a sudden it's hi class. It's like you don't know us, but we know you, kind of.
Ooh. No, we don't. That's a blatant lie.
Yep. But
We
who
don't.
knows? We could sell it.
Yeah. I see you, Jeremy. I hope there's a Jeremy in that class. Give us some of the names in your class. No, I'm just kidding.
If you want
Uh,
me, though, I could probably even clip it in a way that it's trimmed down to be just the video part, using like a YouTube to video thing, or download the video and then clip it using an online clipping source. Or you could do that.
Mhm.
But
yeah,
Yeah, there-
Yelado has a good way of doing it too. He could just skip to that part of the video in the episode.
Oh yeah.
that's true.
So we could just do it right here, right now, and then during his class presentation, he could just go to YouTube and then click on to the correct timestamp.
Well, he could even have it start at the correct timestamp, because that's a thing
Yes,
you can do with videos.
True,
But
true.
Mhm.
I was just wanting to know what format we wanted to do. If you guys just wanted to freestyle like the whole thing based on my
Oh, we
notes,
need
or
to
if you
put-
wanted me to be like hey, so tell me about how submitting a topic works, or hey, how do you pick topics?
Yeah, I think that
Or,
I would
you
like.
know.
I prefer that. If you want to guide us through, it saves us having to come up with a format real quick.
Okay, I thought that would be a natural way, which is kind of why I made those notes. They're kind of more movie, but you know, it was.
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
But yeah,
Really?
the one
I
thing I
think-
was less sure on was like you might about the inspiring and motivational themes, because these are the topics that Meow's going to talk about. So you might want to like look at that and just think of something.
Can you read it to
good.
us? What is it?
So the inspiring and motivational themes is no one's in this alone. The phrase, and the lessons of the song, not specifically the song itself. So he's going to talk about that in his presentation. So kind of just your thoughts,
okay,
like
okay.
for you, what were your thoughts making the song and the lyric sort of thing.
Hmm.
Well, my thoughts
okay.
when I
Chat,
was
be
making that
respectful.
song was
You know, and then, well, Joe, you can talk about, you know, what your experience
with
with
the
the
song.
lesson of the song is.
Mhm.
You know, you
yes.
could talk about motivation. I don't think that would be too hard. Again, the biggest thing is that we need to keep it to be semi-short. I figure the introduction.
Yeah, good luck.
closer
This
would
is
be
us
about
we're
30
talking
seconds.
about, right?
Well, that's another great reason why if I make it like an interview, I can kind of try and gently cut you guys off.
Yeah. You just feel like
Because I could have a timer going and I could just watch it as it goes up in time and just kind of like.
as soon as it
plot
gets
out
to 30
timestamps.
seconds of us talking, just say shut up, and then continue on with the next thing.
Yeah. Mm.
I'm just kidding.
Yes. So okay,
Fantastic.
so I put Mialado's motivational moment in the topic box.
Awesome.
Cool.
So that's all set.
That's the...
Let's see.
Actually, I should have the posts real quick so that I can drop those in the chat at the time that he wants that being said.
So then who's gonna do the
So
intro?
do I.
Are you gonna do the intro because you were the host tonight, or you want me to since you're gonna
Sure,
be
sure.
talking about the song?
What do we need to do for the intro?
So the intro is basically the person can start by saying like hello to Mr. Thompson's class, because apparently that's the class. Hi, if
Oh,
you're
okay.
coming back to the video to watch this. Ooh.
Okay, uwu.
And then it's
Oh,
we
should
could
we?
probably be like we're
put
Don't Worry
Meow.
Wednesday, and then introduce yourselves as, you know, Static B Ryan and Single Duel CDV and Joe. I don't know, however you want to do that. I could
Okay.
introduce myself as the chat room hostess or whatever, and leading the interview or something. I don't know.
All right. Okay.
And then we have a topic from Meow for his. I'm
What's
assuming
going on,
it's
Joe?
his from his motivational moment project.
My keyboard's being silly.
Oh,
So
let me
I
know
can't-
when it shapes up, when it's.
I can't type. I
stops being
can't type. I think I need to
Oh,
replace the
no.
batteries in it,
Oh no.
which will only take me a second. So talk amongst yourselves for a second.
All right.
Then I can keep planning with you then.
Okay. So I mean, it's not too hard. I'll just announce. I'll just say, "Hey, class," and then announce what we're, who we are, and
Yep.
then give it to you. I think that sounds fine.
Actually, would you mind saying like that we have a topic from Meow for their motivational moment project?
Okay.
And then just kind of, then he wanted like the intro to Don't Worry Wednesday of like, you know, we're not professionals, like, and
He wants
kind of,
the professional or the statement.
Yeah, it's under talking about Don't Worry Wednesday, which is after saying that we have a topic, is say what
Okay.
you usually say at the beginning when you say what Don't Worry Wednesday is.
Got it.
So I think
Got
you
it.
could do that, and then you could pop it over to me if you want at that point, and then I can kind of go into more of the questions part
Got it.
and guide
Awesome.
you from there until we get to the outro. Which I'll probably just premise that by saying, you know, well, like, I don't know, I was gonna say like wrapping it up. I don't know. I'll get there when I get there, I guess.
All right. That sounds fine. Everyone in the chat, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you.
Like ice cream.
Like on
Dessert.
Dessert.
Never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye.
Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you, but that's not true.
Well, no, it's that combination. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. I am gonna hurt you, but it's not like when I tell a lie.
But what if you unintentionally tell a lie that you didn't know?
You're
is a lie,
allowed
but
to
is
as long
a
as it
lie?
doesn't hurt them.
But what if it does hurt them?
It's an and statement. Well, then it's not true, but it is an and statement, so it allows more leeway to be true. Like I'm never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. It's not. I'm never gonna tell a lie or hurt you. See? So it's a lot easier to get away with it because you can tell a lie and not hurt them, and you're still fine. And you could
tell
also
them
hurt
a
them without
lie
telling a
and
lie.
hurt them.
You could.
But
could
that's what
tell.
you're saying you're not gonna do.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. That's what he says he's not going to do. He never said he wasn't going to hurt them. He never said he wasn't going to lie to them. He's just saying he will never lie and hurt them at the same time. See?
There, I
He's a good man.
changed it. I changed it to Meow's motivational
like-
moment. I just read down there that you might prefer Meow to Meowlido.
Oh.
Or Meowlido. Yeah, Meow is easier to pronounce. So, yes. Okay, so what are we doing?
Okay. Hi. Hey, welcome. So I'm basically just gonna give the original the
You're gonna
opening
do the intro?
speech.
Okay.
Yeah, the intro. And wing it from there. And then go over to Princess. She's going to read the
topic?
I'll guide you
questions.
through the topic questions
Yeah.
part.
Okay.
Perfect. Since you know what? Here's a question for you though. Since I'm going to be the one probably answering these topic questions first, do you want to be the host?
Sure, I can do that.
I mean, I don't mind being the host, but I figured that gives you room to speak first, and then I'll probably be answering
Yeah,
the
you're gonna
questions
do
first.
the majority of the talking.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be the one that has to do them. Yeah, I don't want to make it seem like you don't have a part in it. So that's because the truth is, you say all the good things.
Oh yes.
Um,
I'm good
so
at
basically-
I'm good at the legal disclaimer.
yeah. So basically, just open up with the natural "Don't Worry Wednesday" points of what "Don't Worry Wednesday" is in the the disclaimer, and then announce who we are, and then give it over to Princess. Ask the questions.
The other part is like you can also start by saying like hello to Mr. Thompson's class because
Mhm.
that was kind of
Okay.
the class that we're talking to, and
Yeah.
don't forget to mention that we have a topic from Meowlido for their motivational project, and that's
Right,
kind
right.
of what this is.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Sounds great.
Okay. Excellent. Are you ready?
Mhm.
We should do a
ready as
countdown.
we'll ever be.
All right.
3.
Do the countdown.
2. Well, I could do my normal countdown. Ready?
3,
Go.
2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Mr. Thompson's class. That was bad. We're going to do it again.
Yeah, no, it's all right.
All
Go
right.
with it.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Thompson's class. Welcome. This is Don't Worry Wednesday. This is a show where we handle any issues, challenges, or topics that you might be having. Feel free to post them in the chat. Send us an email, dww@bss.studio, or just put it on our website, bss.studio, and we would be happy to handle whatever you might be going through. We are not professional therapists or counselors or anything of that sort. We just want to be your friend, offer some love and encouragement and maybe some perspective along the way to help you through whatever you might be going through. And we fully understand that you are probably smart enough to figure this stuff out on your own and to handle this, but sometimes it just helps to have a person in your corner to just be there for you and to help you, and maybe help you see the forest for the trees, and it can just be a really good thing. So yeah, with us, our chat room hostess is Princess. She will be also, you'll hear her voice. And you guys are actually the star of the show. With me is Ryan, and I'm
Hey.
Joe. And yeah,
Hi, Princess.
and that's Princess. Yep, she's got a
That's
lovely
right.
voice. But yeah, so this specific topic we are doing for Meow for the Motivational Moment Project, and we're happy to get into this. So we're gonna let Princess, we're gonna give it over to her, and let her read the topic and get us going. So Princess.
Very cool. So could you guys just talk about like how you guys pick topics and how you take turns giving advice, switching off between each other, since that's such an integral part of the show?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Usually what we have is a host. The host, like Joe is being the host right there. He, kind of guides the conversations. But usually, we just read the chat, or we have our website that we can, look at, and there's, people's topics posted. So then we make sure that they're with us that day. And then, often we just give it over to Princess to read the topic for us, and then we do it. We draw from our experiences in our life, and help to give some information and some guidance. A lot of times, like Joe said, people know kind of how to solve their own problems, but just walking them through our own scenarios in life, or maybe giving them a different perspective on their problems, can really help move people forward. And so that's ultimately what we try to do and how we go about it. What usually happens is I'll talk for about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes if I get on a rant, before I give it over to Joe. If Joe's the host, I usually go first. If I'm the host, Joe will go first, and we'll just switch back and forth. So Joe was the host this time. I talk about it first, and then I say, "Hey, Joe, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the topic?" And then Joe will take over.
And I usually say what Ryan said.
Yeah, because I'm always right. And then no, nope. And then from there, usually we kind of go back and forth about twice, make sure that we covered all our bases, and then usually thank the person who submitted the topic. So in this case, Meow, thank you so much for submitting the topic. I think this is awesome that you're doing this project. It's really cool, and it allows people to, here's the thing, like, we're not that awesome of people, but we get to inspire people. We get to help people in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
We're not geniuses. We aren't psychologists, but we're humans. And I think that we can all help each other out, right? And so you are also a part of this, Meowlido. You are trying to help people move forward in their lives. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And you're showing an example of two idiots up here who can do that. Okay, we're not idiots, but two regular people who every week get to help people. So I think that's really awesome and really inspiring. But anyways, yeah, back to you, Princess.
Cool. Well, can
Unless
you
Joe,
tell
you
me a
wanted to
little
say
bit
anything.
about how you guys find your motivation for the show as well? And then we'll have to wrap it up. So just
How
a
we
little explanation.
find our motivation for the show?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I think one of the greatest, most empowering things to do with your life is to help other people. And so Ryan and I have talked about this many times, but we look forward to this time, where we know that there's going to be stuff for us to talk about, and we don't have any kind of prepared talk or anything like that. It's mainly we're just talking about what's on our heart, and we genuinely just want to help people. And that, when you do that, it helps you in so many ways. Like this, for me to be able to feel like I'm making a difference for someone or to help someone else with an issue, it really helps me feel better about myself, about the world around me, about the people around me, because it's like, hey, here are people that are genuinely looking for a better way of life. And, if I can help them find that, even if, I mean, like Ryan was saying, I'm not any smarter than anybody else, and I'm certainly not any smarter than Ryan, but, if we can be helpful in any way, it helps us. I've heard one time it said, many times actually, that the best way to be happy is to give happy. And so if we can help someone feel better about a situation, it in turn helps us all feel better about it. So that's kind of my
Beautifully put, Joe.
motivation.
And we're a bit over time, but thank you for listening, everyone. And we hope that you might attend or just take something out of this. We love helping people here, and we just do our best to help others. So thank you, and have a wonderful day.
You guys are awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Princess.
Yeah, we're a little over time, like 6 minutes, but you can
Wait,
live with it.
6
It's
minutes
hard.
over time?
We're so bad.
I know you just kept
you
going
give
a
us
little
time
bit
and we
right. I
take
was
a
like,
mile.
oh, I don't know how to, but it was all good. So it's like,
You asked the question how we run our show. I was like, are you serious? Okay. Here's
look,
how we run
I'm
our show step by
sorry.
step.
I know how it's run. Like, I'm not
I know.
But you did really well, and you answered other questions that were on the list, so that was good. I just wanted to hit one motivational topic because you talked about motivational topics, and I thought it also would give Joe a chance to answer. So thanks for catching on to that, even though I said nothing about it absolutely whatsoever. So
Oh yeah, you're awesome.
so it's over about like a
right.
minute, maybe a minute 30, but I think
Hey.
Mielo can work with that. And even if it's like at the end, I'm sure that it's something really cool and special that they will forgive. And if not, it's maybe a point or two.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it works.
Yeah,
And man,
you know what?
I'm honored
if you
that
lose,
would
if you
bring
get a
us
bad
to your
grade, just blame it on us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, it's our fault.
Yeah. Yeah, if you get a bad grade, just say, hey, it's their fault. It's not my fault that these two doofuses don't know how to talk for less than they do.
Yep.
They talk way too much.
I think the timing is great of this when you have a dollhouse behind you.
I know. It's not my fault.
Yep.
Nope.
And I'm having all kinds of glitches with my camera.
Just is.
Like
You are. I'm wondering what's up.
I noticed that.
Yeah, it's because I'm using a different camera tonight. I'm using my GoPro, and I think it's maybe something in the way that it's connected.
It needs to go.
Maybe.
It's a better camera
maybe it's
than the
connection,
webcam,
or maybe
it's plugged into a bank of USB stuff, and so stuff might be interfering. So I might have to.
What kind of
direct.
are you using USB 3 or 2?
3.
Which one?
3.
You using USB 3.0 or 2.0?
3.0. 3.0, but there are like 12 other things plugged into this thing. Including my keyboard.
Yeah,
and
that
my
might be the
mouse
issue.
And my and all my CNCs and all that stuff. So yeah. So if I run it directly into my computer, it might fix it. So
Sal, it's not that they have interference. It's that you're drawing power, and you have so many things drawing power that something's not getting enough power.
Mhm.
And so when then you don't get enough power, all of the bits from that device don't go through. So imagine you're trying to move your mouse and your mouse stops working every once in a while. It's because it doesn't have enough power to operate. Or
Mhm.
if it's camera glitches, it might be because all of the information that the camera's trying to send didn't go through because it didn't have enough power
Mhm.
to give all of that information.
Yep. I need some cable management. Man, if you could see all the cables I got back in here, I was just looking at all that.
Yeah.
There's so many cables.
Mine's not too bad, but it is a bit of a mess.
Yeah. I tried to do cable management, but
All right.
I got a drum set with 8 microphones on it. I got a keyboard, I got a guitar with an amp, I got 2 sets of headphones, a bunch of lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff in
It's
different
fun.
gear. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. You're all awesome. Thanks for being awesome and chilling and giving advice as well in the chat and helping each other out. We
Mhm.
appreciate that. And we will see you all next Wednesday.
Yes.
We love you all.
See you
Love.
guys later. Love you guys.
Couldn't have the show without you, so thanks for your support.
Mhm.